Fully vaccinated Australians will be able to travel to New Zealand quarantine-free from July. TVNZ reporter Katie Bradford joins us now from Auckland. Hi there, Katie. Thanks for being with us. So what will the border changes mean for us, for Australians?
Kia ora. Well, the Prime Minister had a big announcement today around this border reopening. It's been long awaited here in New Zealand and overseas. Many hundreds of thousands of Kiwis stuck around the world. In Australia, from 11:59 on February the 27th, vaccinated Kiwis in Australia will be able to come home. They won't have to go into a managed isolation facility, but they will still have to isolate for 10 days at first, and then moving gradually to 7 days. Eventually, there'll be no isolation at all. If you're in Australia and New Zealand, as you said, you won't be able to come until July at this stage. That might be brought forward earlier if things go well, if there aren't as many cases as expected. There's a number of factors the government is looking at. As I said, this has been long awaited, and the Prime Minister says we can do this now because we have 94% of the country vaccinated. Our booster rate is high. She's urging people over the next couple of weeks to go out and get boosters. We are seeing Omicron cases rise in New Zealand. We've got a gradual phased approach at the moment, which is basically meaning over the next few weeks we do predict that those cases will rise quite exponentially, and they're opening the border and aimed basically for that same time. Now, the Prime Minister says, of course, the reason Australia is our closest neighbour. There's a lot of New Zealanders there, a lot of people wanting to see friends and family, and she says it's a sign of our close relationship.
Today I'm announcing that the fully vaccinated Kiwis and other currently eligible travellers from Australia will be able to travel to New Zealand from 11:59 p.m. Sunday, 27 February. And instead of going into MIQ, will be able to self-isolate. In step 2, just 2 weeks later, fully vaccinated New Zealanders and other currently eligible travellers from the rest of the world will also be able to travel into New Zealand without going through MIQ.
So when exactly then, Katie, will New Zealand open up to the rest of the world?
Well, that's the big question, really. So from March 13th, New Zealanders around the world will be able to come home as well with those same requirements. At that point, they'll also allow more critical workers in, and that's been a real big problem here. We have those labour shortages across almost every single industry. They will allow a number of people across the board into the country then as well on relevant work visas. They'll also allow international students. That's another industry that's been hit hard by these closed borders over the past couple of weeks. And then gradually over this 5-step approach, as you heard the Prime Minister say, we will allow people come in July. People from Australia who are vaccinated can come in, and people will have to take tests, quite regular tests as well when they come in, tests on arrival and so forth. By October, the hope is that we will be fully open up to the world, and of course that will have a huge impact on our economy and on the mental health and well-being of people who've been so desperate to see friends and family and travel.
We have been here before, though, haven't we, Katie? How certain can people be that these dates won't change?
And that's the problem. You have to allow people some sort of cynicism in this, because we have heard these dates before. We, of course, had that Trans-Tasman bubble, that tiny window when people were able to travel between our countries last year. The government is now saying that this is going to happen, that they aren't going to let anything change this. I guess because we've had this change in strategy in which we are now letting Omicron in, the acceptance is that it is going to be out in society. Before now, we've had that elimination strategy. There was only so long we could keep our borders closed. There's been a lot of issues around the numbers of people about not being able to get into MIQ, the struggle there's been for businesses, the problems it's created for people. The government says there is nothing that will stop this happening now. Those dates may change around those July and October dates. They hope, if anything, they will be brought forward. Of course, you have to trust people to go into isolation and stay in isolation. You have to trust those rapid antigen tests. There are a number of factors at play here. And of course, the other issue is for tourists. I'm sure there are a lot of Australians who would like to come to New Zealand. They won't be so keen to do that if they have to isolate for 10 or 7 days in a hotel somewhere, if that's the case.
Katie, thanks so much for the update.